May 2025 marked the 60th anniversary of the Rolling Stones' third of four appearances at the Swing Auditorium in San Bernardino. Previously, the Stones appeared in San Bernardino in June and October of 1964. The June 5th show was notable because it was the band's first concert in the United States. The Rolling Stones' third San Bernardino appearance was on May 15, 1965. Ticket prices inched up from a reserved loge section low of $2.50 in June 1964 to $4 or $5 for a reserved seat in May 1965. In IE radio station KMEN's K-Mendes 10 record survey for the week ending April 30th, 1965, there was early hype for the upcoming Rolling Stones concert at the Swing. For the third time in a row, KMEN was presenting the English band. In early May 1965, an advertisement for the concert appeared in the San Bernardino Sun-Telegram newspaper. It was announced that radio station KMEN was presenting the concert and called it the Show of the Year. In the lower portion of the ad, three groups opening for the Rolling Stones were revealed. It was also announced that tickets could be purchased at the Harris Department Store or at Lear's Music, both located in downtown San Bernardino. Opening the concert was IE group The Driftwoods. Although they were often advertised as a Big Bear group, most of the members hailed from the city of Colton. The Driftwoods were a mostly instrumental group with surf music roots. They had been playing locally since around 1963. This ad was for a January 1964 dance at the Municipal Auditorium in San Bernardino. It was televised live by San Bernardino UHF TV station KCHU Channel 18. Appearing after the Driftwoods was another IE group, the Bushmen from Rialto. They entered and won a Battle of the Bands contest where the prize was the opportunity to open for the Stones at the Swing Auditorium. By the end of 1965, they would shorten their name to The Bush and release their first local single, Feeling Sad and Lonely. Feeling Sad and Lonely was a popular release in the Inland Empire. It reached the top 10 in both the January 1966 KMEN and the February 1966 KFXM singles charts. Although not listed in the newspaper advertisement, there was a third IE band on the bill, the Torquays from San Bernardino. They, like the Driftwoods, had played locally since 1963 and also had surf music roots. Their single, Stolen Moments, reached the number 26 position on the July 16, 1965 KFXM Radio 59 Fabulous 40 survey, but did not make an appearance on the KMEN weekly chart. Appearing just before the Rolling Stones were the Byrds. At the time, they were a fledgling LA group that had just released what was to become their first successful single, Mr. Tambourine Man. Composed by Bob Dylan, the song made its debut in Billboard magazine's Top Pop Singles chart in mid-May 1965 and reached the number 1 position in June 1965. In the Inland Empire, Mr. Tambourine Man was the number 1 song on both the KFXM and KMEN surveys for the week ending June 4, 1965. On the day of the concert, this photo ran in the San Bernardino Daily Sun newspaper. The caption read, "Rolling This Way Again." Returning to the scene of their American debut a year and a half ago, the Rolling Stones will make their third appearance in San Bernardino Saturday night at the Swing Auditorium, National Orange Show grounds. From left are Bill, Keith, Mick, Charlie, and Brian. On Monday, May 17, 1965, photos from the concert appeared in the San Bernardino Daily Sun newspaper. Along with the photos, the concert was reviewed by Sun-Telegram newspaper staff writer Ron Plotkin. In part, he wrote, "They're called the Rolling Stones, and man, if you don't know who they are, like where you been? They returned to San Bernardino for the third time Saturday night, this time one of the most popular recording groups in the world. They had in the past few weeks played to capacity audiences in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. More than 3,000 fiercely loyal fans paid at least $4 a head to see their idols in action at Swing Auditorium on the National Orange Show grounds. 1,000 youngsters, mostly girls, paid $5 for main floor seats. Policemen surrounded the stage for the entire performance Saturday. Other officers walked up and down the aisles, and at least one deputy covered every entrance and exit. 2 matrons were present, as well as a nurse. The show, sponsored by a San Bernardino radio station, began at 8:30. 4 Southern California bands, the Bushmen of Rialto, the Driftwoods from Big Bear, the Torquays of San Bernardino, and the Byrds from Los Angeles, preceded the Stones, who came on about 10:15. The 5 Stones, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Brian Jones, Bill Wyman, and Charlie Watts, arrived backstage about 9:45. They signed autographs for some 30 swooning girls whose names were chosen in a drawing out front. The audience was screaming, "We want the Stones!" Before they went on stage, the Stones talked with newsmen. They described San Bernardino as one of their favorite cities. "It's just like England," said Mick Jagger, lead singer. Mike Dorsey, the Stones manager, said he plans to bring the group back for the 4th time next fall. A definite date has not yet been set. When they finally appeared on stage, pandemonium broke loose. From that moment until after their last number at 10:45, the huge hall echoed with an almost continual roar, 3,000 youngsters screaming themselves hoarse. As their last number finished, the curtain swung shut. The Stones dropped their instruments and ran to the stage door, where a driver waited in a car with the engine running. Prior to the Rolling Stones' May 1965 performance at the Swing Auditorium in San Bernardino, a number of backstage snapshots were taken. In these 2 photos, Steve Hoard, lead singer for IE band The Bush, can be seen standing next to Stones members Mick Jagger and Bill Wyman. Another extraordinary backstage snapshot was taken just before the curtain arose on the Rolling Stones' May 1965 appearance at the Swing Auditorium. 9 of the 10 individuals seen in this photo have been identified. On the extreme left is KMEN DJ Bill Watson, preparing to introduce the Rolling Stones. With his back to the camera is guitarist Keith Richards. Next is singer Mick Jagger. Seated is drummer Charlie Watts. Unseen behind Watts is guitarist Brian Jones. Panning to the right half of the photo, the next individuals seen are Earl Tiny Wilson of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees Union and bassist Bill Wyman. Overseeing the setup is Rolling Stones road manager Ian Stewart. By the curtain is another IATSE union member, Tom New. On the extreme right is an unidentified female. In 1962, Ian Stewart was one of the founding members of the Rolling Stones, playing keyboards and percussion. By May 1963, he was out of the group because Stones manager Andrew Loog Oldham allegedly felt that Stewart did not fit the image of the band. He was older, had shorter hair, and had a rather burly appearance. However, he was allowed to stay on as road manager for the Stones. He also was to play keyboards in the studio and occasionally on tour for the next 2 decades, until he passed away in 1985. So much was the respect that the Rolling Stones had for Ian Stewart that when the group was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989, they requested that Stewart's name be included as a member of the band. And of course, it almost goes without saying that the Rolling Stones are one of over 60 artists that have played the Swing Auditorium that are also members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As discussed in the previous Tales from the IE episode, San Bernardino High School Tyro Weekly newspaper editor John Morthland conversed with the Rolling Stones before their October 31st, 1964 appearance at the Swing Auditorium. The caption read, "John risked life and limb to interview the popular singing group prior to their recent concert." Morthland returned for the Stones' May 1965 concert. His Rolling Stones Revisited article appeared in the May 21st, 1965 edition of his school newspaper. In part, his story read, "Reflections and Recollections of a Rolling Stones fan backstage at their Swing Auditorium concert last Saturday night. 6:30. Wow, look at the crowd already. Must be about 1,000 of them waiting out there, and the doors don't open for another hour. 7 o'clock. Wonder what all that noise is outside. Can't be the Stones. They aren't due for another 2 hours. Hey, it's the Byrds. Well, I heard they were pretty individualistic, but this is ridiculous. Seems like everybody wants to dress like the Stones now. These guys look more like them than any of the others, but I'd heard they were pretty wild. They are, all right." 8 o'clock. There's Ian Stewart setting up the Stones' equipment. That must be an inglorious job, driving in ahead of everyone else with a car full of drums, guitars, and amplifiers, then getting them all set up just the way each of the Stones like it. He does have a nice British accent. It sounds pretty good, and he's witty, too. 8:30. Those guys in the Bushmen look pretty nervous. They've probably never played for a crowd like this before. They've got a darn good band, though. They sound pretty good, but I wish the Stones would hurry up and get here. Think I'll go down front and listen until 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Well, it's time for them to get here. Hope they're on time so I can get the interview before the mob attacks them. Even the 3 local bands are getting an awful good reaction from the crowd. Wait till the Stones come on. But this is the smallest crowd of their 3 trips here. Seems like more people would have come. Enthusiasm was running pretty high last week. 9:30. What's keeping them? It's going to be pretty ugly if they ran into trouble on the freeway and won't be here when they're supposed to go on. The Byrds are on in just a couple minutes. Think I'll go back out front and watch them do Tambourine Man. I'll get someone to come out and get me when the Stones come in. 9:45. They're here. Better get back to their dressing room quick. Don't have too much time. Boy, do they ever look tired. With Frisco last night and Long Beach tomorrow, they hardly get a minute's rest. I better try to talk to Keith. He's usually pretty talkative. He remembered me from last time. That's pretty flattering when you consider how many people he's talked to or been interviewed by since last October. Better make it quick. They've got to tune their instruments and be on in just a couple more minutes. 10:15. Mick really throws himself into that "I need you." Points at every girl in the crowd like he means her. They love it, those girls. 10:30. Mick seems to have tamed down some since the last time he was here. He doesn't move around as much as he used to. Of course, they're all awful tired. Besides, now that they've gotten to be as big as they are, they generate more than enough excitement without Mick's acrobatics. He looks pretty suave in those pink pants, though. 10:45. Well, this will be the last one. They gave the crowd a show, though. Glad they'll be back next October. Those rumors about this being the last time were disappointing. Get ready for the London exit. It's wild, but they've got it down to perfection. Oops, didn't quite make it this time. Some girl got to the stage before they could even drop their instruments and run. There they go. They've done it again. Can't see how anyone doesn't like those Rolling Stones. In late May, an article by San Bernardino High School student John Morthland appeared in the local newspaper. Morthland wrote how in 1964, the Stones cut an album which was never released in the United States, but was at least a start in the right direction. It was just an oversight that we didn't try to release it in America, but we still didn't like it that much anyhow. We were not recording well, and it was just not what we wanted, noted Keith in his thick British accent. They decided to book a tour of the United States last spring, even though they were not yet too well known. Their first U.S. appearance was here in San Bernardino. "We couldn't believe the crowd we got in San Bernardino," exclaimed Mick. "It was very good, the best place on the entire tour. They put us on a lot of variety shows with dog acts and that gear, and people just didn't like it. I guess they just weren't ready for us yet," he added. But here it was just like back in England. The Stones returned last October to a similar crowd, but much to their surprise, they met crowds like that throughout their tour. And now there are no more mountains for the Rolling Stones to climb. They are accepted all over the world. The San Bernardino crowd was no exception last Saturday. The Stones opened with "I Need You." As Mick pointed to the girls in the crowd, each one reacted as though he were talking to her personally. Maximum security was evident in the auditorium for the rest of the show, which included such hits as "Everybody Needs Somebody to Love," "Around and Around," "Time Is on My Side," "Off the Hook," "The Little Red Rooster," "Route 66, and "The Last Time." Just before going on stage, Keith discussed the Stones' present United States tour, the Stones' image, and their future. "We head back to England after the New York concert May 29. In July or August, we'll start filming for our movie. I don't know exactly what it's going to be like yet. I can't say for sure." As for the Symbol of Rebellion label applied to the fivesome, he says, "I don't rebel to get people to come see us. None of us do, although nearly all of us have been rebels since school. Something inside makes me want to rebel." In a May 23, 1965 Daily Sun article, reporter Chuck Perlee couldn't resist pointing out that a May 21st Swing Auditorium barbershop quartet singing exhibition outdrew the Stones concert. He asked, why were there twice as many for the Philadelphia Orchestra as there were for the Rolling Stones? Among the singing groups appearing at barbershops at Poppin were the Osmond Brothers of Ogden, Utah, and the Dapper Dans of Disneyland. In the June 18, 1965 Came Entertainer, DJ Bill Watson wrote, "About 3 weeks ago, Cayman had the extreme pleasure of presenting the wildest wailing group in the biz, the Rolling Stones at the Swing for the third time. Again, they completely broke it up on stage to the delight of about 3,000 enthusiastic screaming fans. While the Byrds were entertaining on stage, I was, of course, backstage talking things over with the Stones. As always, I was gassed by their personality and down-home style. The one and only Mick Jagger putting me on good-naturedly. Keith Richards smiling casually about something he knows that no one else is aware of. Brian Jones anxious to make conversation while brushing his long blonde hair. Bill Wyman cool as ice, but sincere as always. And Charlie Watts, always withdrawn and pondering his own personal hang-ups. I'll never forget the electric excitement that begins when the Stones appear on stage. They're magic. They have the star quality. San Bernardino was, of course, the scene of their first USA appearance. The Stones have a soft spot in their hearts for the Inland Empire, Cayman, and you. In the October 15, 1965 Cayman Entertainer, Bill Watson wrote, "In early 1965, the Stones accepted the invitation to return to Cayman. The afternoon before the show, Bill Watson listeners heard a Bill Watson-Bill Wyman interview as Bill visited the Cayman studios and talked to kids on the station telephones. That night, the third great Cayman concert took place before thousands at the Swing Auditorium. 3 weeks ago, promoter Bob Lewis and myself contacted the current managers of the Stones. We tried to book them again during their upcoming fall 1965 American tour. Their price had gone up, and I mean up, like up to 5 figures for a single performance. There was no auditorium in the Inland Empire big enough to hold enough people to prevent any show financier from losing an awful lot of money. The Stones remember San Bernardino, the Cayman, and their first American audience. We'll go back for less money, they said, but the giant talent agency said no. Maybe one day Mick, Keith, Brian, Bill, and Charlie will have their way and once again appear in a Cayman concert. In the meantime, Cayman makes it possible for you to see the Rolling Stones at the LA Sports Arena in December. Free best seats in the house tickets are being given away on Cayman. Listen and win your share. KMEN presented all of the Rolling Stones concerts at the Swing Auditorium, while their Inland Empire competition, KFXM, had no promotional part in any of the shows. But when the Stones' fall 1965 tour bypassed the Swing Auditorium, their closest appearance to the IE was to be at the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena. Since the concert was presented by LA radio station KHJ, both KMEN and KFXM were left on the outside looking in. However, both stations obtained blocks of tickets to the LA concert. KMEN gave theirs away in contests. KFXM sold theirs to listeners for $10 each. The price included round-trip bus transportation and supper provided. Chaperones for the trip were KFXM DJs. The December 10th KFXM Tiger Mag featured photos taken at the Stones' LA concert. Among the people pictured are the 5 Stones, their manager Andrew Loog Oldham, KFXM DJs Gene Gleason, Jim Conniff, and a number of KFXM listeners that took the bus to the concert. But the Rolling Stones would return to the Swing Auditorium for their 4th and final Cayman concert during their summer 1966 American tour. The story behind that appearance will be told in a future Tales from the IE episode.